Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. And this is where I'd like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. This time, we're going to delve into the forbidden waters of underground comics. Yes. Got a couple of books here that I want to show you. Just briefly. This is the best of Bijou Funnies. And also, you say, hey, I thought you said a couple of books. This is only one. Well, yes and no, because boom, right there, we got the other one. The Apex Treasury of Underground Comics. Two great books in one. Yes, one volume. Reprinting. This is, you can see it's a good size, good thick book there. Reprinting two books of featuring the history, or some of the history, of underground comics, and providing it's about the size of about a dozen regular sized comic books. All in one volume. And you can see this cover price, $14.95. Well, actually, that's a sticker. It was originally $9 something, probably $9.95. This book is from this volume. This printing was from 1981. Reprinting the books, this is the Best of Bijou Funnies from 1975. And on the other side is the Apex Treasury of Underground Comics from 1974. And they're both reprinting comic stories from the late 60s and early 70s. And you might say, well, what's Bijou Funnies? Well, Bijou Funnies was an underground comic book that came out of Chicago. After the 1968 Democratic Convention in Chicago, which had a lot of protests, which resulted in a riot. As I understand, I may be misremembering. It was protests, but wound up in some riots because the cops started spraying the protesters with tear gas, and it caused a riot. And there were four particular cartoonists who reportedly were there, may not have been at the protest and stuff, but were at least present in Chicago at that time. They were Jay Lynch, Skip Williams, Robert Crumb, and Jay Kinney. And after that, they went home and they started producing Bijou Funnies comics. And of course, they incorporated a bunch of other cartoonists, and all these guys were inspired by the antics of Harvey Kurtzman of Mad Comics and Magazines, and Little Annie Fanny from Playboy and the like. And other humor books, and also from college underground newspapers. And some of them may have participated in or produced some material for those newspapers. And this book has this book was edited by Jay Lynch. one of the cartoonists therein. And this part reprints a lot of stories just from that book. Those books, those volumes, that title. That's what I'm trying to say. It starts with a nice introduction, introducing us to the background of the principal participants. And you see a very young Robert Crumb. There's Jay Lynch over there. Justin Green, Jay Kinney, Art Spiegelman had his bar mitzvah, and it's etc. And then almost random stories from the various creators in no particular order, may have been from the orders that they were published in. Mr. Pro Jr., Mr. Man, just some. Now these, of course, adults only, and has strong emphasis on sex and drug use, and I'll try to avoid the showing naughty bits, because I like to keep my channel kid friendly, because I really want even the grown up stuff like this, I want kids to become aware of, so that when they're old enough they can enjoy and appreciate this work. And whoop, that's something I don't want to show. That's something that, well, Pat and Nard. See, that's Jay Lynch. What was this? I don't know. There's Pat and Nard again. There's some more Crumb. And you see here, you get a wide variety. Has some more Crumb, a lot of Crumb, a lot of Jay Lynch, Pat Nard, Rick Hayes, Skip Williamson, and his stuff is like that, like the style used on the movie The Yellow Submarine. Now, he may have been involved in that. I don't know. I'd have to go looking. More Crumb, lots of these things. Some bad stuff, and it's just a fun look through the history, and then you keep going until you get to all these great guys. You get through to the middle, and it shows all the covers. So that looks like 8 issues, and from the editor, and then you see stuff's upside down. Well, yeah, stuff's upside down because boom, there it is. There we are at the other side. And the apex treasury of underground comics. As I said, this is from 1974. And this one was edited by Don Donahue and Susan Goodrick. Featuring the work of Willie Murphy, Art Spiegelman, Justin Green, R. Crumb, Bobby London, Spain, Gilbert, Shelton, Sherry Fleener, Jay Lynch, and Bill Griffith. And this also has a brief, well, not even much of it, just a brief introduction. Has a Crumb interview, and then they have it's separated into sections of each of the artists listed, and of course, since Crumb is one of the most prolific, his is also the largest section. He has a lot of work in here. And then we go to the little biographical part about each of the artists. Art Spiegelman, yes, of course, best known for his mouse, and it started clear back here. For his mouse graphic novel. And then Gilbert Shelton, who's the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. Some great stuff. I'm going to have to cover them sometime, because they're just outright funny. It's totally funny. And Others here we've got Willie Murphy, and a lot of these artists. There's Justin Green. These artists worked in old-fashioned styles and stylizations. Kim Deach, Kim Deach, Kim Deach. Then Spain Rodriguez. His was totally unique, but a lot of them had used older style. Their stuff looked like material from the comic strips and early comic books of the 20th century, as you can see here. This looks like this is Bobby London using L.C. Segar's Popeye stylization and various other things. Sherry Fleener, Trots and Bonnie, and she has a very nice style. Her stuff looks like really reminds me of one of those good pages. There we go. The style of Tintin from Belgium. So I think that was a big influence on her work. And then we get to some Jay Lynch, who we've already seen on the other side, and that's it. It's a lot of good underground comics reading. Some great stuff, and you can see, unfortunately, that whether I did that intentionally or not, I don't know. I don't remember. It's a long time ago, because I've had this book for nearly 40 years, and the peeling off. And at the time, it was an expensive book. So, had to try to decide whether to invest that much into the book. And of course, now you'd be probably hard pressed to find this. And if you did, it would be very expensive, I'm sure, unless it's been reprinted, because I've never seen it since then. Either as a combined volume like this or individually. I don't know. But it is some really, really good reading and a good overview of the history of underground comics. So I want to thank you very much for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Share this with your friends who are interested in underground comics. Maybe used to read underground comics. Just maybe spark an interest in them again. Or share with people who are R. Crumb, Bill Griffith, that's Zippy the Pinhead from the newspapers, yeah. And or Art Spiegelman fans, any of those. Share this with them and leave your comment. Did you read any of these? Would you like to read any of these books or any of these artists' work? And what have you read by them before? Because I've covered Crumb and Spain Rodriguez in more detail, and so you might want to check those out too. And I appreciate your patronage. And remember, comics are art.